the galaxy had a system. Every species was measured, ranked, and classified. Strength, intelligence, technology, lifespan. Everything was calculated. Civilizations were reduced to numbers. Humans ranked low. Physically weak. Short-lived. Emotionally unstable. Politically divided. Their technology was described as functional but crude. The Council concluded humanity would not survive its first major galactic crisis. They were not worth watching. The first crisis came sooner than expected. A predatory empire known as the Korath began expanding outward, stripping systems of resources and erasing resistance. Entire civilizations vanished within years. The strong fought back and failed. The advanced relied on superior weapons and lost them. The ancient trusted their history and were wiped out. Humanity watched from the edge of the map. And prepared. Humans did not try to outgun the Korath. They knew they could not. They did not try to match their ships or shields. Instead, they focused on survival. They decentralized command. They buried factories deep beneath planets. They trained crews to operate without communication. Human ships were built to be ugly, modular, and reparable. Nothing elegant. Nothing perfect. Everything replaceable. It was not impressive. It was effective. When the Korath finally reached human space, they expected an easy harvest. What they found was resistance that did not break. Human fleets did not charge forward. They withdrew slowly, forcing the Korath deeper into unstable regions. Asteroid fields. Radiation zones. Gravity wells. Every kilometer cost the invaders time. Every engagement drained resources. Human ships kept fighting even when damaged beyond acceptable limits. They did not retreat when logic said they should. They stayed. The Korath began to notice something strange. Human ships did not prioritize survival. They prioritized delay. When one ship fell, another replaced it. When defenses collapsed, new ones appeared farther back. There was no decisive battle, no moment of victory. Only constant resistance. Other species began to take notice. Human ships appeared in contested systems that were not theirs. They escorted refugee convoys. They repaired alien vessels mid-battle. They held evacuation corridors long enough for civilians to escape. They did not ask for authority. They did not claim territory. They simply showed up. An alien admiral once asked a human commander why they kept intervening. The answer was simple. Because someone has to hold the line. That phrase spread. As the war dragged on, the galaxy changed its perception of humanity. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the smartest. They were the most persistent. They absorbed losses without collapsing. They adapted faster than projections allowed. They learned from failure instead of denying it. Where others sought victory, humans sought endurance. The final confrontation came near the core systems. The Korath pushed everything they had into one massive offensive. They expected humanity to finally break. Instead, humans did something unexpected. They let the galaxy fight. Human fleets took secondary positions. They reinforced weak points. They repaired supply lines. They coordinated evacuations and counterattacks. They became the structure holding everything together. When the Korath were finally defeated, the galaxy celebrated. Humans did not. They rebuilt damaged worlds. They stayed behind to help stabilize regions long after the war ended. They did not demand recognition. They never did. In the Council archives, humanity's classification was rewritten. Not powerful. Not dominant. Indispensable. Years passed without clear victories. Entire regions became uninhabitable. Supply routes collapsed. Alliances fractured under pressure. The Korath adapted quickly. They stopped chasing human fleets into traps. They began targeting infrastructure instead. Shipyards, fuel depots, communication hubs. They understood something important. To break humanity, they had to break what humans protected. Human losses increased. Planets were abandoned. Colonies went dark without warning. Entire fleets vanished holding choke points that bought only hours of time. Humans recorded every loss. Not for mourning. For learning. Where the Korath struck once, humans reinforced twice. Where systems fell, fallback positions were already prepared. There was always another line. Always another delay. Human strategy did not seek victory. It sought exhaustion. Other species struggled with this idea. They wanted decisive battles. Clear wins. Grand offensives. They could not understand why humans accepted loss so readily. A human strategist explained it simply. If we lose slowly, we live. If we lose fast, we disappear. The galaxy began to feel the weight of human endurance. Human crews fought with empty sleep cycles. Engineers worked until collapse. Medics treated alien and human wounded without distinction. No speeches. No symbols. Just work. The Korath began making mistakes. They pushed too far into unstable space. They overstretched supply lines. They assumed humans would retreat when losses reached critical thresholds. They did not. One battle became legend. A human task force held a fractured star system for 3 days longer than projected. Their ships were burning. Life support failed on half the fleet. Command was lost within the first hour. They stayed anyway. Every minute allowed thousands of civilians to escape. When the last human ship was destroyed, the evacuation was complete. The galaxy noticed. Not with applause. With silence. After that, human signals appeared everywhere. In failing defenses. In retreating convoys. In systems marked for abandonment. Human ships arrived damaged and left worse. But they left survivors behind them. Alien commanders began adjusting their plans around one assumption. Humans would hold longer than expected. The Council issued a new directive. Human forces were to be treated as strategic anchors. Systems with human presence had higher survival probability. Humanity had become a constant. The Korath noticed this too. And for the first time, they changed their primary objective. Not conquest. Elimination. The shift was immediate. The Korath stopped advancing blindly. They stopped engaging scattered defenses. Their fleets began moving with purpose toward human-controlled systems. Not strategic value. Symbolic value. They wanted the galaxy to watch humanity fall. Human intelligence confirmed it quickly. Intercepted signals. Fleet movements. Supply realignments. The pattern was clear. The Korath were no longer fighting the galaxy. They were hunting humans. The Council panicked. They argued for evacuation. For withdrawal. For sacrifice. Some suggested leaving humanity behind to slow the Korath advance. Human representatives listened. Then declined. Humans did not withdraw. They consolidated. Fleets pulled back not to flee but to form layered defenses. Systems were stripped of non-essential assets. Civilian populations were moved through corridors guarded almost entirely by human ships. The message was clear. If humanity fell, it would fall protecting others. The Korath launched their first focused strike. A human core system. They arrived in overwhelming force. Their opening barrage shattered orbital defenses within minutes. Entire moons cracked under fire. Human fleets did not counterattack. They absorbed the human ships burned. They stayed in formation. Human command nodes failed. Local captains continued the plan. There was no single point of collapse. The Korath expected panic. They found resistance that did not escalate. It endured. 3 times the Korath attempted to break through. 3 times they were delayed far longer than projections allowed. Human tactics were simple. Hold until relief arrived. Hold until evacuation completed. Hold until the enemy paid more than they gained. Other species watched this battle closely. For the first time, they did not see humans as helpers or reinforcements. They saw them as a shield. The Council made a decision it had never made before. They placed joint command under human coordination. Not out of respect. Out of necessity. Human leadership accepted without ceremony. Orders were short. Clear. Brutally practical. No talk of victory. Only objectives. The war changed shape. Human doctrine spread through Allied fleets. Redundancy replaced elegance. Flexibility replaced rigid command. Retreat became a tool instead of a failure. Losses continued. But collapses stopped. The Korath began to slow. Not because they lacked power. Because every advance cost too much. Every system taken drained resources. Every human defense required time they could not recover. The galaxy began to breathe again. Barely. Human analysts delivered a grim assessment. The Korath could still win. But not quickly. And not without bleeding themselves into extinction. That was when humanity made its next decision. And it would change everything. Humanity understood something the galaxy still struggled to accept. The Korath were not afraid of defeat. They were afraid of delay. Every cycle spent fighting humans drained them. Every system held cost them fuel, ships, and time. But endurance alone would not end the war. Someone had to force a choice. Human command met in silence. No speeches. No recorded messages. Just numbers. Loss projections were unacceptable. Survival odds were thin. But the calculations showed something else. The Korath core fleets were exposed. Humanity proposed a plan. It was not brilliant. It was not safe. It was final. They would strike deep. Not to conquer. Not to destroy worlds. To cut the Korath ability to continue. Supply hubs. Breeding forges. Command nexuses. Targets that would not recover. The Council resisted. The risk was too high. The casualties would be extreme. Humanity would lose fleets it could not replace. Human command responded with a single statement. We have already accepted that cost. The operation began without announcement. Human strike groups vanished into uncharted space. Communication silence was absolute. No reinforcements. No retreats. If they failed, no one would know how. The first target fell. Then the second. Human ships did not engage enemy fleets directly. They bypassed them. Slipped through unstable corridors. Used routes considered unusable by most species. They took losses. They continued. The Korath reacted too late. By the time they understood the objective, their logistics were collapsing. Entire battle groups stalled without fuel. Reinforcements arrived empty. For the first time, Korath fleets retreated not from force. From hunger. Human strike groups did not return. They pushed deeper. Each success increased the cost of survival. The galaxy watched as the impossible happened. The Korath advance slowed to a crawl. Then stopped. Humanity did not celebrate. They waited. Because they knew what came next. The Koroth gathered everything they had left. One fleet. One strike. One attempt to break humanity completely. Human Command issued final orders across all Allied forces. Hold nothing back. The final battle was coming. And humanity intended to end it. The Koroth came with everything. Their final fleet burned across space like a wound. Thousands of ships. Weapons pushed beyond safe limits. No reserves. No fallback. If they failed here, they would not recover. They knew it. So did humanity. Human defenses formed not in one line, but many. Layered positions. Overlapping fields. Fleets placed where collapse was expected, not avoided. Human commanders planned for loss. Again. The first impact shattered outer defenses. Human ships were destroyed within minutes. Entire formations vanished. The Koroth pushed forward expecting the line to break. It did not. Another line held. Then another. Every kilometer forward cost the Koroth more than the last. Human ships fought until power failed. When weapons died, they rammed. When engines failed, they held position and became obstacles. Nothing was wasted. Allied fleets followed human doctrine. No panic. No heroic charges. Only controlled resistance. The battle lasted longer than any before it. Systems overheated. Crews collapsed at their stations. Command passed from ship to ship as leaders fell. The Koroth began to falter. Not from lack of firepower. From exhaustion. At the center of the battlefield, the last human strike groups completed their mission. The final Koroth command nexus went dark. Coordination collapsed. The Great Fleet became thousands of isolated ships. Human forces did not rush to destroy them. They waited. The Koroth surrendered in silence. No broadcast. No demands. Their weapons powered down one by one. The war ended not with victory cries, but with relief. Entire regions were scarred. Worlds would take centuries to recover. The cost was immense. Humanity paid heavily. The galaxy gathered to record history. They did not ask who won. They asked how anyone survived. The final assessment changed everything. Humanity had not overpowered the Koroth. They had not outpaced them. They had not intimidated them. They had outlasted them. Humanity declined leadership. They returned to rebuilding. To repair. To staying where damage was worst. As they always had. The Council updated its classification one final time. Humanity was no longer listed by strength. It was listed by function. Stability. The record closed with a single sentence. Humanity was measured by the wrong standards. They were not designed to win quickly. They were designed to endure. The end.